Hey, I'm Alice. Welcome to Facts That Surprise Even the Smartest Among Us. Today's topic is something we've all experienced. You're trying to concentrate or fall asleep, and suddenly, bam, a ridiculous song is stuck in your head on repeat. But at the same time, you somehow can't remember where you left your keys. How is that fair? To help us figure out why our brains do this, I've got Smarty here with me.
I am Smarty. And Alice, this is one of my favorite brain quirks. On the surface, it feels like a cruel joke. Our minds hold on to jingles and silly lyrics with ease, but important stuff like where we put the keys vanishes. But once you understand how memory works, it makes perfect sense. And it's actually kind of brilliant.
I'll admit, I've had the Baby Shark song stuck in my head for days, and I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast.
You are not alone. What you're describing is often called an earworm, a catchy piece of music that gets stuck in your mind and replays involuntarily. But behind that is a much deeper story about implicit memory, repetition, and the way our brains prioritize information.
Let's break that down. First, what's implicit memory?
Great place to start. Implicit memory is the type of memory we don't consciously recall. It's automatic. Think muscle memory, or the way we remember how to ride a bike. When it comes to music, our brains are wired to absorb patterns, especially ones with rhythm, rhyme, and repetition. Music taps into those circuits almost effortlessly.
So I don't try to remember a song, it just kind of sneaks in?
Exactly! And that's by design. Our brains are optimized to notice and store patterns, especially patterns with emotional or sensory triggers. A catchy tune with a repetitive hook checks all the boxes: sound, rhythm, repetition, and sometimes a funny or emotional element.
Okay, but why bad songs? Why do annoying ones stick harder?
Because simplicity and repetition make something more sticky. A complex symphony might move you emotionally, but a simple jingle is more likely to loop easily. Annoying songs often have fewer lyrics, a strong beat, and an easy melody. That simplicity allows them to slip past our mental filters and lodge themselves deep in memory.
So they're like brain barnacles.
Exactly. But now let's contrast that with losing your keys. Finding your keys relies on episodic memory, which is conscious and contextual. It depends on you paying attention to the moment you put them down, storing that information, and then retrieving it later.
So basically, if I wasn't paying attention, the memory might not even exist?
Right. Episodic memory is vulnerable to distraction, multitasking, and stress. You might set your keys down while checking your phone or thinking about dinner, and your brain never truly records that memory in the first place.
Okay, but I want to remember my keys. I don't want to remember a jingle.
That's part of the irony. Just because something is useful doesn't mean your brain prioritizes it. The brain favors high-salience input things that are emotional, novel, or repetitive. A mindless tune with a bouncing beat triggers more automatic encoding than a mundane daily action.
So it's not that my memory is bad, it's that it's optimized for patterns and emotion, not errands.
Exactly. And music, especially silly or catchy music, often includes rhyme, rhythm, melody, and emotion. It uses multiple areas of the brain at once: auditory, language, motor, and emotional centers. That wide activation makes it easier to encode and harder to forget.
This explains so much. My brain is basically a karaoke machine, but terrible at logistics.
That's a great way to put it. And here's another fun fact. Once a song gets stuck, it tends to repeat because your brain is trying to complete the loop. If you only heard part of the song, or if it's unresolved in your mind, the brain keeps circling until it feels like it's finished.
Like a buffering wheel for sound.
Exactly. That's why hearing the full song sometimes gets it out of your head. You've closed the loop.
Okay, so what can I do if I don't want a song stuck in my head?
There are a few strategies. One is to listen to the entire song to completion. Another is to occupy your working memory with a different demanding task like a puzzle or a conversation. Some people hum a different tune or chew gum, which engages rhythmic and oral motor activity and interrupts the loop.
That's oddly specific, but I'll try the gum thing.
It works for some. Now let's loop back to your keys. You can improve memory for them by using encoding strategies. For example, say out loud, "I'm putting my keys on the kitchen table." That verbalizes the moment and creates a stronger memory trace.
So by narrating my life, I'm actually improving my memory.
Yes, it's called intentional encoding. It helps episodic memory by making you pause, pay attention, and associate meaning.
I'm going to feel ridiculous, but I'll do it.
It works better than you'd think. You can also associate the item with something visual or emotional, like placing your keys next to a bright object, or saying, "If I lose these, I'll miss the bus."
So I need to trick my brain into thinking my keys are a pop song?
Exactly. Make the memory vivid, rhythmic, or emotionally relevant, and your brain will hold on to it much more easily.
Smarty, you've cracked the code.
Just helping you play your brain's greatest hits.
So let me see if I got this right. Songs get stuck because they're simple, repetitive, and hit multiple parts of the brain. We remember them automatically, but remembering things like where our keys are requires focus, attention, and conscious effort, which we often skip.
Perfect summary, Alice. And once you know that, you can start designing your life with that knowledge turning forgettable things into memorable ones.
Thanks, Smarty. I think we all have a better understanding of why silly songs hijack our brains, while the important stuff slips away.
Always a pleasure, Alice. Just don't blame me when you're singing that jingle all day.
And to all our listeners, next time you forget where your keys are, but can sing the entire chorus to a cartoon theme song from 2002, just remember, your brain isn't broken, it's musical. Thanks for listening, and stay curious.